what's up?
One of the things that fascinates me about Pokémon GO is how big of a phenomenon it is, considering it's a mobile game and a side game to its franchise. Like, of course, we don't currently have what we had when it first came out, with so many people just clogging up the streets and the parks playing this game on their phones. But even 4 years from then, this is still a pretty widely played game. And with the recent addition of a player versus player system, they've had a whole new meta to explore and advance. Now, what's interesting about Pokémon GO PvP in particular is that it's divided into 3 different sections or leagues based on the CP of the Pokémon involved, which is a sort of more general stat that is an overall Pokémon's power level. So, the 3 different variations of PvP in Pokémon GO are as follows. The Great League, which is up to CP 1500, the Ultra League, which is up to CP 2500, and the Master League, where there's no limit on the CP of the Pokémon. By far, the most played league in Pokémon GO is the Great League, and this could be because of the low CP cap, which prevents a lot of superpowered threats from getting in, and just makes the meta a lot more diverse and much more interesting to explore. As a refresher, the general battle style of Pokémon GO is to tap a fast attack as fast as you can to do minor damage and charge up energy for a charged attack, which is a lot stronger. This means that usually Pokémon with higher attack stats are favored in Pokémon GO, but in Great League, that's not the case. The super low CP cap means that Pokemon with lower attack stats can actually max out their defense and HP at much lower levels that are more eligible in the Great League. This leads to those Pokemon having a lot more survivability, lasting longer, and overall doing more damage in total. For that reason, Pokemon that are fit to survive and thrive in the Great League, with popular examples being Altaria, Azumarill, and Registeel, have to have some or all of a few select traits. 1, they have to have a lower attack stat and higher defense and HP stats. This allows them to max out those defense and HP stats at high levels while still keeping a CP low enough to be in Great League. 2, they have to have a good set of fast moves and charge moves. Fast moves have to either do a lot of proportional damage, generate a lot of energy, or a bit of both. Charged moves have to either be really strong, charge up really fast, or invoke one of the gimmicks or special effects of PvP. 3, they have to have a typing that allows them to be defensively strong, or have a type advantage against some of the other strong Pokemon in Great League. Now, when you look at the Pokemon that fit this bill, there are a surprising number. Some that you wouldn't even expect, and some that even lack these traits still somehow find a home in Great League. Most of the Pokemon that are eligible for Great League have been used by various players in plenty of different restricted formats and tournaments. But there is one Pokemon that I think is criminally overlooked, and when I found out about it, I knew that I had to make a video on it myself. And that Pokemon is Swalot! You know, that really cool poison type from the early game in Gen 3 Hoenn? That one? You guys remember it, right? No? Oh boy. If you look at Swalot on paper, it has all the requirements that we've established for a Pokemon in the Great League. If you look at its stats, its attack is pretty low, and its defense and HP are pretty good. If you look at its moves, Infestation is pretty good for energy generation, and Acid Spray, Sludge Bomb, and Ice Beam all have their uses. Acid Spray is a debuff move, Sludge Bomb for damage and coverage, and Ice Beam for even more coverage. Its typing, being pure poison, has a fair share of resistances: Fighting, Fairy, Grass, and Bug, and it's only weak to 2 types, Ground and Psychic. So why is this Pokemon so overlooked? Why is it that when I went and looked on Game Press, one of the sites that has the most coverage for Pokemon GO, it didn't even have an analysis for this Pokemon? And this is crazy because Game Press has an analysis for almost everything. I understand if it was a new Pokemon, like Generation 5, but this is from Generation 3, and one of the early Pokemon from Generation 3. It just doesn't make sense. I decided I'd try out Swallow for myself in the Great League and see how it fares. I put it on a couple teams, I messed around with the strategies a little bit, I changed Pokemon a couple times, and I just thought it was interesting, and I had a good time. And I'd like you to see my results.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Wow, those were a bunch of crazy battles. I had a bunch of others too, but those are definitely the best and the funniest clips that I got with this Pokemon. But since we've done some testing, now we can finally decide, once and for all, where does Swalot fall on the Pokemon GO Great League tier list? Well, I'd place it at mid-tier. Swalot is a bulky Pokemon that can survive a few hits and outlast prolonged battles. It has a pretty good moveset which can charge up really fast and do quite a bit of damage over a large set of types with its coverage. But there definitely are a few significant things holding Swalot back. Firstly, its best fast move is Infestation, which, while it charges up pretty fast, its damage output is kind of awful. And it doesn't even get same type attack bonus for Swalot, so that's even worse. This means that Swalot basically has to rely on its charge moves to do damage, and if you go my route and run Acid Spray and Ice Beam, then it's very difficult to do damage to things that aren't weak to Ice Beam. This meant that on my team, Swalot more filled the role of a debuffer than an actual damage output Pokemon. It's also got quite a bit of competition. Venusaur, Toxicroak, Alola Muck, and Skuntank are all very powerful poison types in the Great League. And for an Acid Sprayer, options like Scrafty, Ferrothorn, and Quagsire exist. But even so, being able to dish out poison and ice type damage very quickly, as well as being a debuffer, is a very interesting niche. And also, it pays to remember that even though it's not as common as it was in Generation 3, Swalot's pre-evolved form, Gulpin, can still be found pretty easily in the wild. And it's relatively inexpensive to get to Great League CP, and costs the minimum amount to get a third move. So, it functions as a budget option. Plus, when you battle in restricted formats, it's useful to know the strengths and weaknesses of even slightly outclassed Pokemon like Swalot. Speaking of which, shout out to this guy for being the only person I could find who's done a YouTube video on Swalot's abilities in PvP before I did. He did it for a restricted cup, but it's still quite an impressive video. So if you have a spare Gulpin or Swalot and want to try a different strategy in PvP, I'd say power it up and try it. I had a lot of fun doing so. Thank you for watching this video. This is my very first video on Pokemon GO, but if you'd like me to do more, leave a like, and maybe subscribe. I definitely enjoyed making this, and I hope everyone on YouTube enjoys it too. See you next time.